I'm now joined by Ememobong, PDP National Publicity Secretary, on the recent court nullification of the Ibadan National Convention of the PDP. Thank you very much for joining us all the way from, well, Calabar. Are you in Calabar or Akwa Ibom? Let's just be sure of your location first off. And
I'm in Yeregua.
Okay. Now, I mean, let me get your reaction, because you seem to be still very optimistic that your arm of the PDP still has a hope, in spite of the fact that Federal High Court sitting in Ibadan has nullified the November 15 convention of your party. What's the basis of your optimism?
You do know that, Ngozi, in every struggle, there are the battles and there is the war. And so people win battles and sometimes lose the war. That's how the world was saved during the Second World War, because you saw a streak of winnings of battles, but when the war was won, that is why the world is where it is today. And I can assure that in this, he who laughs last will laugh best. So what's the position of the party? The position of the party is simple. There are two aspects, which is in fact and in law. Yes, the court in Ibadan has given its judgment, but that is just an addition to the many other judgments of a court of concurrent jurisdiction. And so we are hoping on the appellate courts, which is the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, for their position. When the Court of Appeal, matters have been joined and issues have been joined, and the court hopefully very soon will hear the matter and give judgment. That, because we're expanding the jurisprudence of electoral matters, electoral law, where the court, even the judgment given today, is in material opposition to some aspects of the judgment which was earlier given still by the Federal High Court in the Omotosho and in the Lifu, even in the Abdul Malik cases. So you are going to find a lot of contradictions that these three judgments cannot sit. A community reading of these three judgments would put confusion to the person. When I was studying law, they said one of the characteristics of law was predictability. And so it was said that where similar facts emerge, same judgment would apply. But in this circumstance, you're going to see similar facts appearing, but different judgments being reached. So that is why we're testing that at the Court of Appeal, and we're hoping that when we get to the Court of Appeal, all of this will be consolidated. For the case in the judgment in Ibadan, we filed a motion of appeal, a notice of appeal, and we've also filed a motion for stay of execution. And so by the time we get to the Court of Appeal, all of this will be harmonized, and we'll hear what the Court of Appeal has to say in that. So which is why we're reaching out to our teaming supporters across to say that the real PDP is alive, the real PDP is strong, and Tanimu Turaki is still in charge of that. I mean, when you look at the running of the office and the things that are happening, and those who are the conscience of the party, who want the party to survive and to play the role of what an opposition should do, you clearly know where it is. And that is where we are saying that until the law aligns with the fact on ground, people do not see that justice has been done. And we are certain that at the end, justice will be done, and he who laughs last will laugh best.
Yes, indeed, Nigerians actually believe that too. But you made a point earlier that there was a time when the outcomes of law cases were predictable, or predictability in the judiciary. Who would you really blame for what seems to be a lack of predictability? The political class seems to have turned things upside down and taken advantage of the loopholes in the law, to further take party democracy away from the ideal. Now, in his ruling, I just said that as an aside, Justice Uche Gomo ruled that the PDP can only operate a caretaker committee until a proper and lawful national convention is held. Of course, the implications of that is that the Wike group, of course, including Anyanwu, maybe Olugunagba, their suspension or expulsion, if you like, has been nullified, declared null and void.
Well, it only shows the wisdom that my Lord used in arriving at that, because I'm sure that my Lord cannot point to the constitution of the party anywhere where there is a national caretaker. But again, I have tremendous respect for the court, and which is why the court should stay away from the internal affairs of the party so that they don't become politicians. But you do know that perception and reality may have divergence, but when they converge to the extent that people lose faith in a process, when the CJ of the Federal High Court pays a courtesy call on the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and trembles in front of that person, and you now see a streak of judgments. I'm not saying anything, but I'm simply saying that you find a situation where the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court goes to beg the Minister of the FCT for land and houses for judges of the Federal High Court. I'm not saying anything, but I'm simply saying perception.
That's a very strong allegation, and I doubt.
No, but
I wonder if you
it's
have
public. It was public. I will send you the video. The courtesy call was public. And the minister was even saying, oh, how many of you are there across different jurisdictions? Oh, we'll start with the senior judges or the younger judges and all of that. So what perception do you and this is the same CJ that we have written to say that there are particular judges that we have seen a history that any case where some people are part of, that these cases go the other way. And incidentally, all these cases go to those people. We are not accusing them, but we are simply saying perception. Because it is a fundamental issue in law that justice must not just be done, it must be seen to be done. And so for me as a lawyer, when I look at the things that are happening, and I see, the other day during the Daily Trust dialogue, Honorable Uchenna read a report where the confidence in the judiciary is below 20%. Ememobong didn't say that. PDP didn't say that. It's a survey that was conducted. So when we lose faith in the judiciary, when we lose faith in INEC, remember, the First and Second Republics collapsed because of the collapse of national institutions. The INEC courts were still sitting when those republics collapsed. And so all we are saying is that the judicialization of politics is wrong. And if the Supreme Court has said for the umpteenth time that the matter of political parties is non-justiciable, people should stay away from it so that they don't become politicians in the process.
Yeah, but you are still going to court, and you're still going to court to seek what you say is justice. I mean, you've appealed the nullification of the Ibadan National Convention. You're still relying on the court to give
because that's all we can do.
Right. So now, on the issues raised...
It is all we can do, because we believe in democracy.
Right. Okay. Now, some points were raised in court in nullifying this November 15, convention. Failure to hold valid state congresses and other points raised by the court. Is the PDP, at least your arm of the PDP, are you looking at correcting these anomalies that may have made you vulnerable to, falling into what some describe as traps or minefields?
Ngozi, as of the time we were before Motoshot J, the 12 states that they are referring to, more than 6 of them had state congresses monitored by INEC, which is why we petitioned INEC for suppression of facts. As of the date of that judgment, more than 6 of those states had conducted valid nomination with CTC reports from INEC. Some of the states that congresses were not conducted, there were valid judgments of court saying do not conduct congresses in those places. So what else were we supposed to do? So which is why we are saying that there is a collusion of national institutions to subvert democracy. And we are calling on all people of good conscience who love democracy. No democracy can thrive without a viral opposition. And the emasculation of the opposition, the targeting of the opposition, the sponsorship by the ruling party of the crisis in opposition parties would not help them. Right. We must maintain this republic, and we must allow political parties to survive. We must not ridicule national institutions where people begin. I mean, put your camera in the market and take the pulse of the people about INEC, about the judiciary, about governance. Forget about us. Whether you emasculate the PDP or not, the fact remains that the next election will be APC versus Nigerians. And I have said, I will say again, even if the president goes to this election unopposed, he will lose.
Right. Now that you are appealing this judgment, wouldn't you say it's a journey, an exercise in futility? And exactly what are your prayers before the appeal
I
court?
cannot hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
You're appealing this judgment. Can you hear me? Unfortunately, it looks like Ememobong cannot hear me there. If you can hear me, please confirm very quickly before we wrap this conversation. All right, I might have to leave in Ememobong there. Now that the Federal High Court in Ibadan has ruled against that November 15 convention, how does one even refer to a gentleman who I've just spoken with? Well, I guess for purposes of this conversation, I still refer to him as PDP National Publicity Secretary. Well, thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight in